Thank you, Netflix, for releasing all 8 episodes at once. Made it really easy for me to watch the whole season before my last pay period with you ends. Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous is a new animated series set during the events of 2015's Jurassic World. It's about a group of 6 teens, all strangers to one another, who have won a camping trip in the wilderness of Isla Nublar among the herds of herbivorous dinosaurs. But when the Indominus Rex breaks out of her paddock, they wind up lost and without contact with their staff, and have to work together to find their way to the ferry dock before the last evacuation leaves. Let me first say that I'm not enthusiastic enough about the show to make multiple videos on it, so I will be getting into spoiler territory here. Despite being a huge Jurassic Park fan, I wasn't totally psyched for this show, really just because it's animated. That's one of the few beefs that I have with the Clone Wars. When a canon spin-off to a live-action franchise is animated, are the characters still seeing the world in live action, even while the audience is seeing animation? It's kind of confusing. Still, the Clone Wars did maintain the tone of Star Wars, so I was able to see it as part of the same story. I can't completely say likewise about Camp Cretaceous. That's not to say that the show doesn't have any Jurassic World vibes. It does lean into them here and there. It's just at other times, in what is an apparent effort to appeal to younger audiences, it goes for a more cartoonish nature, which makes it really difficult to see it as canon. In episode 5, which is probably my least favorite of the 8, there's a part where the kids venture into the abandoned genetics lab to find some crazy guy left behind with a party hat on throwing his own birthday party there in the pitch black. Just imagine if we saw this in the movie Jurassic World, it'd be ridiculous. As for the animation itself, most of it is impressive. The environments actually look spectacular and the dinosaurs are surprisingly detailed. More so than the human characters who look a little more plasticky. In terms of the 6 characters we follow, I liked a good half of them. The central character is Darius. He and his father were both dinosaur enthusiasts who made plans to go to Jurassic World together, but his father died before that could happen. As the first episode started, I immediately liked Darius. I feel that I could identify with just about anyone who's a dino nerd. It was episode 4 where I really started to care about him, because that's when he has dreams about his father's last days, and those 2 scenes are surprisingly quite touching. The other 2 characters I liked were Yaz and Sammy. Yaz is the shy, undersocial type, while Sammy is the hyper-social cowgirl, which made for some amusing scenes with the 2 of them together. However, there is one character that I absolutely could not stand, and that is Ben. He is frightened by everything. He's always crying, panicking, complaining, clinging to people, and throwing up. In fact, there are quite a few vomit jokes in the show, and they really overstay their welcome. I can understand those who say that Franklin in Fallen Kingdom was an annoying wimp, but his cowardice was at least punctuated with a number of funny lines. Ben makes Franklin look like Duke Nukem. There is a scene where the other 5 kids go somewhere against their staff's orders. Ben decides to stay, but then he gets scared into following them by just glancing at the teeth of a skeleton in their room, which they've already been staying in for some time now. Yeah, it's so stupid. Yes, he does go through some growth, but he didn't need to be this insufferable before then. Now, like I said before, the show does do some services to the franchise, like in episode 2 when Henry Wu makes an appearance. Brooklyn the blogger takes advantage of his ego to convince him to be in an Instagram video, so it is the Henry Wu that we've come to know from the recent movies. It also contains some complementary information for the JP universe. For example, some dinosaurs like the Carnotaurus just showed up on the island in Fallen Kingdom, despite being nowhere in the movie Jurassic World, or on the list of dinosaurs featured in the park on the viral marketing website. In Camp Cretaceous, we find out that the reason for this is because the Carnotaurus was a discontinued attraction. I appreciated that. Although there are some minor yet obvious contradictions, like when the kids happen upon the destroyed gyrosphere that Zack and Gray were in, as well as the Ankylosaurus that the I-Rex killed. In the movie, that all happened deep in the woods. Here, when they come across the aftermath, it's much more out in the open and in the grass. You got the objects right, but none of the surroundings. Overall, there are 2 episodes that stuck out to me as being really good. Those are Episode 4, Things Fall Apart, and Episode 7, Last Day of Camp. Episode 4 because, as mentioned, it has the flashback scenes with Darius and his father, and because it has the fantastic reintroduction to the Indominus Rex, where we see the Brachiosaurus collapse in the trees, and then from behind those 2 guys, the I-Rex emerges from its camouflage state. And then we get a cool sequence where the kids try to escape on the zip line as the I-Rex starts tearing down the tower that it's attached to. And episode 7 I really liked because it had another very Jurassic-worthy chase scene where Toro the Carnotaurus is chasing them up the stairs to the monorail while Yaz has a busted foot. And because the stairs are, needless to say, not built for a dinosaur, he's practically crawling his way after them. And afterwards, we get a really good scene of character development when they're on the monorail thinking that they're finally out of the woods and they all sing Kumbaya. The last episode also wasn't bad. I enjoyed the final showdown with Toro, where Darius throws the shock prod at those compressed air tanks, and Toro gets caught in the explosion. And as he emerges from the rubble, scarred, singed, and limping, he stares at the kids all staring back at him together, and he just gives up the fight and leaves. And as he exits the tunnel, he reveals to us the exact dinosaur whose DNA he was cloned from. The last episode also did something I wasn't expecting. The kids don't make it off the island. And while it is meant as a cliffhanger for Season 2, I feel that having them fail, after so many times they press forward after so many things go wrong, and upon their failure, they confidently decide to continue facing whatever comes their way, it really made the words of Darius' father stronger. Things fall apart at times in your life, but what matters is how you choose to keep going. A line that could be relevant to Jurassic World Dominion. The problem with the final episode is the seemingly pointless misdirection of appearing to kill off Ben when he gets thrown from the monorail by the Pteranodons. At first that really surprised me. I didn't think that the show would kill off any of the kids, nor was I expecting that of the show in order for it to be any good. But as the season was wrapping up, I was thinking, man, they're stranded on the island, one of them has died, now anything could happen in Season 2. But then the very last shot is on Ben's body as his hand starts twitching, and I'm like, oh, never mind. Though since he has manned up a bit, it's at least good to know that when he returns, he's no longer going to be freaking out at a can of root beer. So, Season 1 of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous has some fun characters, a few entertaining scenes, and slightly uneven but overall impressive animation, so it's good on its own. But tone-wise, it just wasn't always in line with the Jurassic canon, and that really kept me from enjoying it start to finish. I'll still check out Season 2 if it gets made. I just hope that it doesn't come to Netflix. As I implied, I'm ditching Netflix for the reason that you're probably thinking. Yeah, unless they take down that Cuties movie, I'm not at all inclined to give them any more of my money. So if Season 2 comes to Peacock instead, I'll be up for more Camp Cretaceous fun. That's a wrap, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this review. Like and share, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture, I'm Alex Pop.